CJ Mills here with your Friday follow-up. This is where we give you a condensed version of the hour-long meeting that we have on Wednesdays for the Wednesday workshop where the project management community comes together and we solve our issues. So we have 4 topics this past Wednesday. We had how do you handle project failures? We had learning the 4 types of project managers. Which one are you? We talked about discovering that overwhelming feeling and how do you kill it when you're starting a project from new. And we talked about understanding the why before you tackle the how and the what. So let me start with the ways to handle project management failures, because the context of that was actually in an interview. So the question was, hey, if I interview you and I ask you the question, tell me about a project management failure you've had and how you overcame that. The main topic or the main point that we drove home during the call was, hey, be introspective. Don't go on about what the executives did or didn't do. Don't go on about what your teammates did or didn't do. Make sure that you talk about the processes and procedures that you weren't able to set up. Make sure you talk about the things that you didn't do that should have gave your team members the ability to handle those issues at a moment's notice, right? And then go into at what point did you notice it? How did you implement your new tool? What happened as you implemented? And then what was the outcome? And if you do that, I guarantee you'll be successful on your interview. So that's the first tip on the Friday follow up, is that when you're asked about failures in your project, don't talk about what everybody else did. Be introspective, talk about what you failed to do, because in the end, you're leading this project and you're the one that's supposed to make sure that the ship is sailed and it's headed in the right direction and it docks at the right spot, right? And along the way, when the waters get choppy and they get bumpy, it's up to you to smooth things out. All right, so that's our first tip. All right, and if you want to know more about handling project failures in the context of your own projects, well, then just join the Wednesday workshop. All right, and we'll be able to, all the folks in the community will help solve your problem. Okay, so the second thing that we talked about was what are the 4 types of project management? Now, there's no industry standard out there. As we all know, project management is still in its infancy. Many of you have family members and friends that don't know what project management is. Most companies don't know what project management is. And this is why project managers can make from, I don't know, 40,000 to 400,000. There's a huge range, and we're met with all kinds of responsibilities. So let me tell you about the 4 types that we talked about. Okay, we discussed the very administrative PM, right? This is the PM that they take meeting minutes. They set up meetings for folks. They capture all the documentation for the project and make sure it's filed away, and they make sure that everybody can access it when it's needed, right? You're very much administrative PM, right? That's your first type. All right, your second type, I call them the crack the whip the PM. Probably not politically correct, but for lack of a better term, these are the PMs that are consistently driving the team to get work done. Hey, what's the status? Now, what percent complete are you? Are you done or are you not? Did you do this task? Okay, this is what's coming next. Here's our next, session of the roadmap, or our next sprint, or whatever it is that we've got going on, right? You have to be very much, PMs that are drivers and that make sure that the team members are getting work done. Okay, then you have the owner's rep. These are your very high level PMs. You can see this a lot in construction. These are the PMs that actually can make contractual decisions. They can say yes or no. They have the ability and the authority to hire and fire contractors, right? And so your very high level PMs, I'm sure they exist in other industries, but it's very easy to see these folks within the construction community. They're considered owner reps, and they have a lot of signatory power, and they have a lot of power, especially when it comes to the budget, right? All right. And then if you think about it, your administrative PMs and your sort of crack the whip driver PMs, that's about like 60% of your project managers. Then you have those owner reps. It's like another 10%. The last 20%, these are what I call sort of your liaison project managers, right? They work with everybody internal to the organization and external to the organization, right? They work with all the folks in the vertical. So they make sure that folks in marketing and IT and HR and in legal, they all speak the same language and they all know what's going on. And these are your very high level, very senior project program managers. These are the folks that are usually handed very difficult, very complex projects. Not to say that your administrative PMs don't have a hard task. Not to say that your crack the whip PMs don't have a hard task or your owner's rep don't. But these are the folks that liaison internally and externally throughout the organization, right? They handle all the vendors and the suppliers. They handle even the client at times, right? So those are your 4 types of project managers: your administrative, your crack the whip, your owner's rep, and your liaisons, right? So that's 2 points. Now, the third point we talked about is how do you kill that overwhelming feeling when you're starting from scratch? You're starting from a brown field. Now, those of you that are my lead folks, my leadership in energy efficiency and environmental design, you'll know about the brown field versus the green field. But the green field is like a blank slate. You're starting from scratch. And so how do you kill that overwhelming feeling when you're starting a project and you have no process assets, the company has nothing, and you're starting from the beginning. You don't. You don't kill that feeling. What you do is you embrace it. And you embrace the ability to say, okay, nothing exists. I get to create it. But don't do it alone. All right? Lean on your communities. Go find other project managers who have been there and done that. Go find other organizations, other colleagues that you know that have worked in project management. Ask them what they've done in these similar scenarios. Go out and join LinkedIn groups. Come join our Wednesday workshop. We'll help you work out some of these issues. Okay? So that's the best advice is don't go it alone, but don't try to kill the feeling. Embrace that feeling and use it and harness that power to drive all the creativity that you can to help that project land in just the right spot. All right. And the fourth and final topic that we talked about was understanding the why before you tackle the how and the what. Oftentimes we know what we need to do, and then we have a good idea of how we need to do it, right? So, I mean, it doesn't matter if you're a paralegal, you're a project manager, right? You have a very specific goal to have that case, be settled in a certain way, a very specific time frame. Heck, if you're a mom or a dad and you're trying to get your kids to brush their teeth in the morning, it's very different every day. That's a new project, right? So we're all project managers at different levels. For the context of this, it's very important to understand the why before you go into the how and the what. So think about this. If you're very technical project managers, we call this the project charter. This is that document that says, hey, what's the organization's strategic plan? What are they trying to do? And what is this project? What are the objectives of this project? And does it converge or diverge? It might diverge, who knows? And then what's the ultimate goal? We trying to eat up market share? Are we trying to gain a new customer? Perhaps this is, some remediation work for some regulatory environment, whatever it may be. Use that why as your North Star and understand that everything should drive back to that. So everything from the scope to the schedule, to the cost, to the quality, to the resources, to the communication, to the procurement, to the risk, to the stakeholders. Don't forget change and configuration. If you're a professional project manager, those 11 areas that you need to know, all of that should drive back to your North Star, right? And so that's the why. So that's it. That's it. That's the goal of this Friday follow-up is to give you in about 5 to 10 minutes what you could have seen, or if you had a project or a problem that you need working out on, join the Wednesday workshop. But if you missed it, this is what we had going on. So our 4 topics again: how do you deal with project failure? What are the 4 types of project managers? How do you kill that overwhelming feeling when you're starting a project from scratch? And understanding the why before you tackle the how and the what. So we'll see you next week at the Wednesday workshop. You want to know more? Follow me on social, DM me. I will send you any resources or any links that you need. Join the Wednesday workshop. And if you need to, watch all the previous videos on YouTube and you can see all the other issues that we've solved in the community. Until then, have a great weekend.